Good evening. Welcome to the QCIS channel. We're on this channel. You get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. And what I'm going to talk about tonight is a topic on what is the fundamentals of engineering examination. Now, if you are going into engineering, I know academia always says you take the test while you're in school. Now, prior to 2014, the test was with pencil and paper. And in order to pass it, you need a scaled score of 70, not a raw score of 70. And you're not penalized for questions that you get wrong. Now, what is the fundamentals of engineering examination anyway? I'm going to give you my interpretation of it. The fundamentals of engineering examination is basically a general knowledge test to see what you know. The problems are straightforward, and you have to understand how to use the reference manual. Now, here's what the reference manual looks like. This is my version of you have the new version 10.4 is out. This is 10.4. I decided to buy a hard copy because everybody has different strategies to passing the examination. What I tend to do is I do problems. Now, since the exam is on the computer, you can only take one calculator in. Now, as you know, there are a couple of approved calculators for the exam, and I'm going to show you two of them. Right here, here's the most popular one. This is the TI-36X Pro. This calculator, you can actually do matrices. You can do quadratic equations. You can do vectors. You can have conversion factors. This is one of the most popular. And then they have the Casio 115, and they also have the Hewlett Packard 35S. Now, if you want to use Polish logic, you can utilize the Hewlett Packard 35S, but also it has the algebraic way of doing equations as well. Now, right here, this is another calculator here. Now, a lot of people don't have this calculator. This is what we call the TI-30X Pro. Now, what I like about this calculator, it has the same interface as the TI-36X Pro. The screen is a little bit better. Now, unfortunately, you cannot find this calculator in the United States. I actually ordered this calculator. It was pretty cheap. I got it for maybe $30 from Germany. But this is the same exact calculator. This is the TI-30X Pro, which is basically the United States version of the TI-36X Pro. Does everything. It's the same screen, bigger buttons. It's much more legible. In other words, it's easier to read, but it's a TI. And I love TI because you can't take any other calculators in there except for the specified calculators. Now, again, the fundamentals of engineering exam is, I call it a general knowledge exam. Now, you have 7 different exams to take. Now, in the past, here's how everything went. When it was on pencil and paper, they had a morning session and they had an afternoon session. Now, the morning session was you had 120 questions, and it was everything general. You had thermodynamics, statics, you had dynamics, mechanics of materials, electrical circuits. And then in the afternoon, you had 60 questions in a discipline. Well, in 2014, they decided to put everything on a computer. So now all of the fundamentals of engineering examinations are basically discipline specific, and they're divided up into 7 disciplines. You have chemical, you have civil, electrical, environmental, industrial, mechanical, and other disciplines. Now, the question is, which one are you going to take? I would say take the exam that you're most familiar with. Now, if you are in a branch of engineering that's not one of the 6 that I mentioned, I'm talking about chemical engineering, civil engineering, electrical engineering, environmental engineering, industrial engineering, or mechanical engineering, take the other disciplines. And I'm talking about if you majored in a brand of engineering that you don't hear about too much, like architectural engineering, biological engineering, or biomedical engineering, marine engineering. I mean, you have lots of branches of engineering out there. Now, when you take the exam, you have to look at the specifications. That's what you have to do. Now, I know I'm going to be asked about the scaled score. Now, the scale score was set back when it was on pencil and paper. Now, what I can tell you, the strategies, my strategies are do problems, get familiar with using the handbook, and also get some references. Now, here's my reference. I'm going to be taking the other disciplines. So I got this from NCES. This is a practice exam. Now, here's another book too. This is by Patrick J. Shepard on the other disciplines. Well, this right here has everything you need to pass the exam. All the problems are explained, and they have practice tests in this book as well. And here's another book. This is by Zimmerman. This one's okay. It says there's 500 problems, really isn't, but it's up to date because a lot of these books out here, everybody loves using Lindbergh. I even have a Lindbergh book right here. This is Lindbergh right here. The problem with Lindbergh, this is the 2nd edition. I believe the 3rd edition of this came out in 2010. This came out in 2006. The problem with Lindbergh that I have is Lindbergh is good if you are a little rusty, but from my point of view, a number of the problems don't represent the questions on the test. They tend to be a little harder. Now, you can use different services like PrepFE and School of PE and PPI to pass, which is by Kaplan. Test Masters, EET has one. Civil Engineering Academy has one. Prep Engineer has one. Now, Jeannie Prep, she has on her YouTube channel, she also has courses that you can take, and they're lifetime courses. So if you fail the test, you can go back and study. She used to be called Engineer, but she calls herself now Jeannie Prep, and Direct Hub. That's the other one. And then you have Michelson and Marshall University. Those are good sources that you can use to practice problems. But basically, what you have to do is you need to get into the handbook. Now, if you can memorize some of the equations, that's an advantage to you because the exam, what it used to be 8 hours, now it's 6 hours, and you have roughly 2 to 3 minutes to complete the questions. Now, you have to think about this. There are going to be some that you have to guess. Now, I would say do all the problems. My strategy, do everything that you know first, that you are sure of. And what you don't know, you can flag and come back to it. Now, there are different ways you can guess. Now, on these exams now, it's not just calculations, there are conceptual questions on there as well. So you have to be ready for those at any time. All of the exam questions are random questions. So you're not going to get the same test as your buddy. You're not. However, everything is graded the same. Now, the criteria too, in order to take the test, is you must have a degree from for the most part. I'm going to say for the most part, because I know if you get a PhD, in some states you're waived from taking the FE, but you can take the PE. And also, depending on your work experience, because when it comes to education, your degree must be from ABET accredited programs, which is a programmatic accreditation at your college. And when I mean ABET, ABET has basically different areas. I mean, computer science has ABET, natural science has ABET, engineering technology has ABET, and engineering has ABET. The two that I look at are the Engineering Technology Accreditation Commission and the Engineering Accreditation Commission. They're both of ABET because, believe it or not, if you have an engineering technology degree, I'm going to say in roughly 38 states, you can also take the FE, PE as well. In fact, I've heard some individuals who got mechanical engineering technology degrees, they've done better than individuals with mechanical engineering degrees. Why? Okay, one of the differences between engineering and engineering technology is engineering is a lot more on the theory based, where engineering technology, you're basically applying the theory to see if the theory works. And also in engineering technology, you learn a little bit about theory as well. But in regards, engineering technology, that's all based on academia. But in real world, you get your work experience and you go and take the test. And again, some people take the test while they're in school. Some people take the test while they're 5, 10, 15 years out of school. Bottom line is you want to get in there and take the test. You want to be familiar with it. And I know I've taken a couple of them. And of course, I failed, but I didn't put my heart into it like I should have. And I listened to people. But now my heart is in it. And almost 60 years old, I definitely plan on taking it because you want to be an engineer. It's the FE exam is the first part to getting your licensure. And then you can go ahead and get your work experience. Generally, if you have an engineering degree, it's 4 years of work experience till you get your eligibility to take the PE. And then depending on what state you're in, Pennsylvania, I know if you have an engineering technology degree, 4 years of experience. I know in Virginia or West Virginia, it could be 6 to 8 years. Now, it just depends on your your state too. You have to look at your state board. Now, there are also some states that are allowing individuals, even without the work experience, to go back and take the PE and pass it. However, they're still not licensed because they don't have the required work experience. But when they get their work experience fulfilled, then they're going to be licensed because they already passed the test. NCEES is the one that comes out with all of these tests. Now, let me share my screen and let me show you the approved calculators first of all. Right here, these are the approved calculators, so you'll know exactly what they look like. Texas Instruments. This is the one I have right here. I also have the Casio as well. Very good calculators. For me, I like the TI-36X Pro. Easy for me to use. I understand it. It's the most popular as well. Then here's the Hewlett Packard, the 35S. The 35S is also a programmable calculator, very expensive calculator as well, but it's a good calculator. Now, something else that you need to see, and this is very, very important, very, very important. Now, you also have to look at the specifications. Now, most of them say 2020. Now, I'm using the exam that I'm going to take based on the 2020 examinations. Now, this is the other disciplines. Now, other engineering branches, they also have these, but you want to look at the breakdown here. And for me, I like this one because with the mathematics, if you do a lot of these problems, it's going to be 8 to 12 problems. And something you need to understand, you don't have to ace the exam. You just have to get a scaled score of 70. Now, it's a pass-fail exam. We don't know what is passing, what is failing. It just depends on the exam cycle. You have some cycles where the scoring is higher and some that's lower. Now, recently, the lowest ones have been industrial, civil, and even other disciplines. Now, I believe other disciplines, and this is just my humble opinion, one of the reasons why that's lower is because individuals, they're not really preparing for that exam. Because if you think about it, one of the reasons to take this is you have everything. To me, if you're out of school, it's much easier to learn mathematics than if you go back and you have to learn transportation, because you might not even use it. But mathematics can come back to you quickly. But you must look at all of the information and the questions and the subjects that you're strong. You put time into it, but you put more time into the subjects that you are not so sure about. Now, you don't have to get a 70 on all of the subjects. You look at the subjects, how many questions? Now, when we get down to statics, this is where you're going to have the bulk of your questions. That means you need to study a lot of these questions. Fluid mechanics, thermodynamics. Now, this test is similar to the mechanical engineering. Now, mechanical engineering has a 70% pass rate. Now that's for first time test takers. Now, here's my opinion, and I didn't do it, but you want to pass it the first time because the odds of failing when you take it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, odds of failing become even higher. Basically, people get stressed out. This is a long exam. You pay $225 for the exam. This exam you have to wait. It used to be where it took about 2.5 months to get the solutions back. Now it takes 7 days. But you must follow this little outline here, the specifications. Tells you everything that's going to be on the test. Now, the good thing about not civil, or mechanical and other disciplines, from my humble opinion, you don't have as many subjects as you do on the civil side. And the civil has most people taking. When it comes to the industrial and the environmental, I think second is mechanical engineering. But it's good that you get this first one out of the way and you can prepare for the next one. I mean, you'll get a bump in pay, a little bit more responsibility, and something else too. If you have a master's degree, what I have, well, you actually substitute for your master's degree 1 year work experience. If you have a doctorate degree, you actually substitute 2 years. Now, again, depending on the state board, if you have a doctorate degree, a doctor's degree, or PhD, you can waive the FE exam. I'm not sure if I want to waive it. Just going to take it. That's just part of the system to getting your license. But bottom line is, this is a fundamentals examination. And when you pass it, don't throw your information away, because you can use it to study for your PE exam as well. Now, also, it doesn't matter what exam you take. Let me give you an example. If you're a civil engineer major and you work in civil engineering, let's say you want to take the mechanical engineering FE, you can do it. And you can do the same thing for the PE as well. The bottom line is, you can do the work, you're qualified to do the work, get the license that you believe, take the test that you know you can pass. That's the big thing. And something else that we can see now, of course, there are different strategies. Now, this is from the Civil Engineering Academy, and they give you 10 tips, and regardless of what FE examination you're taking, the strategy is the same. Number one, you understand your own learning style. That's why, I read Reddit, what people did when they passed their examinations. Well, there are a number of ways, but you have to look at yourself. How do you learn? Some people learn by practicing. Some people learn by memorization. But the good thing with that reference book, you need to know that you don't have to memorize everything. But if you can memorize a formula, like, I'll give you an example of some of the formulas that I memorize. Like if you're doing let's say you're doing fluid mechanics, and I want to find the flow rate. Q equals VA. Head loss, V squared divided by 2G. Let's talk about using a pressure vessel. Well, what's a pressure vessel? Well, you can have the inner radius plus the outer radius divided by 2T. 2T is the thickness of the vessel. You have to also watch, even though you have that reference manual, they may give you information. You may find the right formula. However, you may have to manipulate that formula to find the unknown. And then, calculus. You have to understand vectors, identities, sine squared plus cosine, sine squared theta plus cosine squared theta equals 1. You're going to find that in there. You need to know how to take derivatives. You need to understand, depending on which one you take, mechanics of materials, where you have stress, hoop stress. Hoop stress could be your theta x plus theta y divided by 2 plus or minus the square root of theta x minus theta y divided by 2 all squared plus tau xy squared. Or you could have the other equation where you deal with the radius, which is your r, and a equals the square root of theta. Instead of it being theta, those are actually sigmas. Sigmas is what they are. I believe they're sigmas. They're Greek letters, but sigma x minus sigma y divided by 2, all under the square root, plus tau xy. And when I get my whiteboard up, I'm going to show you how to do some of these problems, because it's also going to help me, and I enjoy doing the problems. And you're also going to have to learn how to, depending on where you're, how to use the periodic table. When you go in there and let's say you're given an equation like H2O. Well, what is the atomic mass? Because you have weight, you got mass. How you going to look that up? Well, for the periodic table, generally, you're going to have two hydrogens. The atomic number is 1, so 1 times 2 is 2. And then for oxygen, it's roughly 16. So when you look at everything, your weight is going to be 32 grams. Then you have to find how many moles. You have to know how to basically balance equations. Now, again, I'm giving you information if you're taking more or less on the chemical side, the environmental side, and the other disciplines. It's only an example. So again, understand your learning style. Number 2, know what's on the test. Now, again, you don't have to memorize all of it, but you need to know what's on it. Now, if you can memorize some of the formulas, like, again, what is the equation of a line? Y equals mx plus b, ax plus by equals c. That'll also help you as well. Understand the quadratic equation. X equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. You need to understand that. How to understand the discriminant. Everything's under the radical, b squared minus 4ac. Now, I've been out of school quite a while, but I still remember that information. Understand that when you're doing the log, any log, anything to the E cancels out. Understand that when you're doing logs, like log 10 minus log 8 plus log 5. Well, when you have a minus in there, you're going to divide by, and then when it's a plus, you're going to multiply. If you understand the rules, everything should be good. Understand statistics. Everybody's going to have statistics on there. Understand engineering economics. It's all in the handbook. So you need to know what's on the test. Again, test is about time management. So manage your time wisely. Whatever you don't know, you flag it. Again, I just showed you my copy. Use the FE handbook. Now, of course, on the computer, you have to type the right word in there. Because if you don't spell it out correctly, it's going to be a problem. Now, I prefer the old pen and paper where I can open up the reference handbook because I basically know where everything is. But now it's on computer. It's going to force you to learn how to utilize the technology. Now, I know in some of the here's some testing centers. I know when I took the test, some of the computers are relatively slow. Use NCES for practice problems. Again, I showed you the book. I have the practice problems. Also, practice, practice, practice. That's how you're going to get it. Thing about engineering, it's all about problems, all about reading, all about make sure your units are correct. Make sure you know how many square feet are in a square yard. Get a good night's sleep. Test can be very, very stressing. And don't try to waste time on subjects you don't know well. In other words, let me clarify it even better. Don't wait till the last minute. Some people try to wing it. Can't wing this test. It's going to bite you. Again, if you know the topics that you know well, you go over them. You want to go thick and thin on the topics you don't know well. And there are some you're going to have to guess. You have to make a good educated guess. Process of elimination. Also, stay organized. That's the best thing. Stay organized. And heck, like me, this guy's like me. Have fun with it. You know, something that I learned. Yeah, I failed it too. I'm not, if you fail it, go back and do it again. I've seen individuals who've taken it 13, 14 times. Yeah, it's 225. But if you want it bad enough, then pass it. You know, I believe in all of the professions, whether you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, a RN, an engineer, a social worker, the exams are very hard. Why? I believe the exams are hard because they want the right people in their fields. They want people who know what they're doing. Now, again, does a test measure what you really know? No, because some people are better test takers than others. However, it does give me an idea that you went above and beyond just the degree, and you took time out to want to be part of, when you have the license, CPA license, or your PE license, you're part of a different class. You're going to get looked at differently. It doesn't mean that you're smarter than everybody else. It just means that the jobs, the opportunities are much greater because you can have a lot of people competing for jobs. But if they don't have their degrees, if they don't have their, because I know some people tell you, well, go take a certification. Before you take any certifications, here's what I recommend. Because I know where I work, they want you to get CCM certifications for construction management. Absolute bullshit. Get the FE, PE, and then anything else. Because at least when you have that, you can change disciplines, you can change careers, get the FEP. And this is why I'm explaining it to you. If you get that, much easier for you to open up your own business. It's just like asking me, okay, should somebody double major civil engineering and construction management? Well, you could, but why would you do that? Civil engineer could be a construction manager. In fact, civil engineer has even more opportunities. I always believe in engineering before anything else. Everybody can't go to college, but when you're there, I just want you to make the best of your investment, because engineering is an investment. College is an investment. So to be educated too about college teaches you time management, organization, discipline, structure. And that's what this test is all about. So in the end, if I missed something, just let me know in the comment section. But for aspiring engineers, regardless of how old you are, take the FE. And when you take the FE, help somebody else pass. Because I'm going to be making videos hardcore. And you listen to some of the other videos like Genie Prep and Direct Hub and PP to Pass. You're going to have to invest some money in some of the books. But just know the concepts. Understand your learning style. That's the first thing. But in the end, have fun with it. Engineering is a good profession. Not everybody can be an engineer. But if you're in this field, make the best of it. Because in the end, you're going to be at the top of the mountain. Why? Because you'll be directing the work, not necessarily doing the work. And opportunities will be far greater for you than your subordinates. But you want to help your subordinates. It's a competitive field out there. Again, invest in the fundamentals of engineering examination. Certainly it's a hard test. Don't take it for granted. But it is rewarding. And I'm going to keep on it myself. And again, thank you for listening to this presentation on the FE examination. If you like what I just presented, please comment, share, and subscribe. And if you're looking for some social and political content, relationship content, you check out my main channel, the 411 Talk Zone Radio Show, also here on YouTube. And here's where you can find me. 411 Talk Zone Radio Show, you can find me on YouTube, X, which is formerly Twitter, Rumble, and Truth Social. And for the QCIS channel, you can also find me on YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, and of course, LinkedIn. And like I said, if I missed anything, because I was going right off memory of what I know about the FE exam, because I've taken it myself, just leave it in the comments section. And I do read your comments. I'm not perfect. And if any of you have any strategies, let me know. Because in the end, want to help each other. Once again, thank you for listening to this presentation from the QCIS channel. On this channel, you get a daily dose of science, technology, engineering, and math. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. I want you all to have a wonderful and gracious evening.